Hello, hello, and welcome to ohmTown, the news show powered by ohmTown.com. Today is Pi Day, so it's March 14th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 74. Today we're going to talk about post office scandal Offspring, fix the ice cream machine, Google I.O., Terminator-style bots, information overload, a warning about carbon monoxide, facial recognition, cult items. What is I knew I was going to mess this up at some point. What is broadband internet? And where to spot UFOs. That and about an hour of snark. I'm Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com. That's what powers this. And up there is the sentient AI's visualizer, which may or may not be working. You want to say hello?
Good evening, ohmTown citizens.
It's working. We are going to just jump right on in. I'm running a little bit late. Sorry about that. Mayoral duties. And that's always my go-to. I could be sitting around, on the beach.
But that's
at the
mayoral
spa.
duties.
And now it's mayoral duties. Now, the truth was that I was just running late. And I decided to lose myself in a SpaceX launch that had happened earlier, but I thought it was a new one for a little while, and then I was just engrossed in the launch, even though I had seen it earlier.
They seem to be having a lot of delays lately.
Oh,
I
yeah.
guess
And
that's part of the program.
And the one yesterday was delayed, and then today it was delayed, and then I was watching a rerun of the previous launch earlier in today's day. So, and that one actually was wildly lucrative in terms of information, apparently. So they're going to be studying all of the results from that, and the next one is going to be, enriching the billionaire. I'm sorry. Advancing science. Advancing science. I'm really into all of this space stuff, but I'm not really hip to making a billionaire out of them. But okay, whatever. I guess if we go to Mars in my lifetime, that would be great. Because
That's true.
Man, do I want to go to Mars? Hey, wait a minute. The first article is over in the Hatch Ideas channel. It's about business. This particular thing is an ongoing news report kind of a thing we've been following for 6 months now or something like that, right? It's quite a long time coming because the post office in the UK knew, along with Fujitsu and various people, that there was a problem. But children of post office scandal victims seek payout.
Now, this should catch everybody's attention. It's kind of like, why would the children be pursuing this?
Yeah, well, a new group wants redress for the impact their parents' wrongful convictions and financial ruin had on their lives. And I just want to draw special attention to the fact that we had just spoken of that.
That's right. When we were discussing another article, it didn't go into that, but we had discussed that impact on the families.
Yep. Because the long-term impact of the wrongful prosecution conviction, even eventually, apparently some have passed away, but the wrongful conviction, this is again why I think that the justice system cannot be wrong. But when I've spoken to many attorneys over the years, they typically say here in the States, I don't know about elsewhere, but here in the States, well, the justice system generally gets it right. And I say that's to all of them, I say it's awfully cavalier of you to say it generally gets it right. Because if you were the one where they got it wrong, you would be trying to tear buildings down. So, yeah, I think that this is probably something that should be, and the only way this should be redressed, this should be basically tuck your tail between your legs, accept this fate, and give them what makes them whole, which largely cannot be made whole except for financially. And Fujitsu should be bearing the burden of all of this, not the taxpayers in the UK. It should all funnel through to Fujitsu. They knew what the hell was going on, and they allowed this to continue. So, if you're really still wondering what the hell Mayor Watt's talking about, the post office in the UK utilized a thing called Horizon, and we'll just go over. And of course, they put this huge picture of a person that says their name is Katie Downey. And she said she was ripped away from Hawkshead when her family fled to France. Apparently that was part of this, which is wild that somebody would have to run away because of wrongful prosecution, because the evidence was flawed at the source, but treated as fact. There are other ways of saying that, but I kind of stumbled on how to say it. They were treated as fact, but technologically they were incorrect. But litigation used that as evidence. So if you want to get rid of somebody, you basically make up technological evidence that can't be disputed because the very system made it fact, even though it was a mistake in the code. So Emma Simpson and Tom Espiner and I think Esilt Carr. I hope Esilt Carr. I'm ruining their name and I'm really sorry, but let me know. Anyway, it's over at bbc.com. So here's the thing. A very complex and powerful system to manage the finances of the UK Post Office called Horizon was deployed from Fujitsu as a contract, and a whole bunch of people apparently had their chassis lubed to make all of this happen. And so what ended up happening was there were fundamental flaws in the processing system at Horizon Software, and upwards of 800 people have been prosecuted for mistakes in the financial system that weren't their fault. And they couldn't explain why there were flaws because they did nothing wrong and there was no evidence. But instead of going, well, the absence of evidence means that we can't hold you accountable for it because there isn't money in your bank account and you're not seemingly enriching yourself. We have no evidence other than a short till, right? So, here in the States, nobody gets prosecuted for a short till unless there is ample evidence recorded, documented, tracked. Because without the evidence, every single attorney would sit there and give everybody in the courtroom the bird and say, there is no evidence that my client enriched themselves from this till. So the drawer, the cash drawer.
That's a piece that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Like the software, okay, it shows that all the... First of all, when is it the case that multiple people in the system are all stealing? I mean, it has happened, but it's pretty rare.
Upwards of 800 people in one system? Come on.
Exactly. Like statistically, that's probably impossible.
I mean, that's just Enron level, Arthur Anderson level of personal enrichment through manipulation of the system. Come on.
Right, like if you were the first person that went through, okay, maybe the second. Like at some point, they should have been like, something is off here.
Something is odd. Yeah, let's investigate this. So the Ms. Downey has requested a meeting with Fujitsu, which provided the faulty Horizon software to the post office. Fujitsu UK boss Paul Patterson has expressed an interest in meeting her. No shit. Look at that. 8:21, and it's already no shit news. We're only 10 minutes into the show. Ms. Downey, and it really, I would be surprised. You know what? I'm really interested in meeting her, but I'm not going to meet her. You know why? Because boy, will this dig my own grave. Ms. Downey set up a group, Lost Chances for the Children of Sub-Postmasters, which is what these people are called because the postmaster oversees the sub-postmasters, which oversee post offices. So as a way to support one another, she set this up, but also to try and get compensation for how the scandal changed their lives. And you basically enumerate. And here's the worst part about this. If these people would have remained sub-postmasters for the average stay of a postmaster, which really isn't necessarily the time that these people would have stayed as a sub postmaster. Plus all of the ramifications, the negative impact of this, being prosecuted and having to explain that I was found guilty of theft from a post office. Enumerate that. How do you sit there and get compensation on par with the loss here? I just don't see how.
I mean, you don't. By the way, the first article that we featured on this should have been around January 9th. I can't see the exact because I don't have access to the listing at the moment.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, my bad. My bad. I could probably find it. Well, okay.
And we featured more than one article on this related topic.
Yeah.
So you have to go back and watch everything from season 3.
But not season 3, because we might have haphazardly mentioned it in season 2 or season 1. The AI is sending me an error message. Y'all can't see this, but the AI is sending me an error message like, well, no, that's not possible. But let me tell you, there is a chance, however unlikely, that we might have mentioned the word horizon somewhere in the previous 3 years.
But this news broke in January, and it looks like we featured it around January 9th.
Your audio is really cracking up. You should probably check it again. Anyway, so the group has more than 40 members at the moment, but eventually could number thousands, because there is almost 1,000 people that have been negatively impacted by this directly. These are people that have been charged with something, right? There were almost 800 in that pool.
Right, in terms of who were postmasters or post employees.
Oh, and I was joking in relation to what I was saying about, you sending me that error message and your audio cracking up, but you're actually really quiet.
Oh, well, I've corrected it unnecessarily.
No. Okay, so she and 4 of the children of sub postmasters who are in the group spoke to the BBC about how their lives had been affected by the scandal. They all said it was now time for their voices to be heard. So they ended up having to, Ms. Downey and their family had to leave to France. After she moved, she was severely bullied at her new French school as she couldn't communicate at all, and her family life at home wasn't good. Dad became unstable, very angry. Yep, mom was upset. Dad was very upset. And I can imagine all of them were like that because they were unjustly turned into what amount to felons. And then, what is it? From the law, they were fugitives from the law. They left the country, for crying out loud. She said that she developed an eating disorder, which was a way for her to control just one thing in their life, and they had absolutely no control. This is another person, Millie Castleton. Their father, Lee, was a sub-postmaster in Bridlington, East Yorkshire. He went bankrupt after losing a 2-year battle with the post office. Oh, God. They should raise Fujitsu to the ground. Is it... I don't even remember anymore. Fujitsu is still this massive company. So
it is. In fact, that was interesting because I was searching back in ohmTown, and of course, previous articles before all this are just, they're releasing this product, that kind of news.
Yep. And this is the knock-on effect of a wrongful prosecution and incarceration. And this is why, again, I say I have a problem with the legal justice system generally getting it right. And then I find out about people who aren't the right race, essentially, here in the United States. And they get life because of a 3 strikes rule about marijuana. And somebody else... And I wish I was kidding about this. There was some white dude who killed somebody, and it was recorded by the victim, and they were given 10 years. So I become very incensed when I see that it takes years for this to be prosecuted in the right way. Fujitsu should be paying their dues for this. All profit from this really should be going to the victims to be made whole. And
Plus interest.
And how
it's
much?
It's kind of like reparations, right?
Yes.
I mean, because it's like, how can you redo somebody's life?
Yep. And their future potential.
Exactly. There is one kind of humorous detail in here. The name of one of the post offices was the Dog and Gun Post Office, which I thought was interesting.
Okay, that has to be down here. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, Rebecca Foots.
That's much more colorful than the post office names in the United States.
Those are awesome. It's kind of like a pub name, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I bet it was co-located with a pub, and that's how it got that name or something.
Yeah, here in the States,
that detail.
We wouldn't allow that because the name would unironically trigger someone. So yeah, it all just sucks. So the one person ended up having panic attacks, ended up being unable to play the game that he loved. Yeah, it just goes on, and it's just a shame that people are suffering because of incompetence and personal enrichment while they knew that there was a problem with this system. So greedy scumbaggery.
And remember the bonuses that were given to the executives? That was another article.
Okay, let's go on to the next. Sorry, 1 second, folks. This next article is over in ohmTown Daily. The FTC and DOJ think that McDonald's ice cream machine should be legal to fix. There you go. So the Federal Trade Commission and the Department of Justice Antitrust Division filed a comment with the U.S. Copyright Office asking for an expanded exemption to copyright law for the right to repair certain devices. The comment was submitted on Thursday amid the Copyright Office's deliberations over whether to issue new exemptions to the Section 1201 of the DMCA, a law that prohibits breaking software copy protection. Under 1201, repairing your own devices can often become a copyright violation. This is basically protectionism, except in certain cases. Here's the deal. So I'm going to go over to the source here. Oh, actually, let me grab.
Okay, that is not a realistic photo.
There you go. Now your audio.
You know why?
Because it doesn't work.
Well, right. In the photo, it's working.
I'm sorry. I stole your thunder there. You and I think way too much alike. The sentient AI is learning to think like me, which is probably criminal, according to the DMCA. Gabby Del Val is the author over at TheVerge.com of this article. The deck statement says the agency's asked the U.S. Copyright Office to extend the right to repair to commercial and industrial equipment. So I have an odd take about this. I think that you should have the right to repair, but the problem is when a problem does happen, like your device spontaneously combusts and you had a repair, nobody jumps up and says, hey, you know what? That repair might have been the problem. They say, no, your iPhone set the world on fire, or the tractor exploded. Yeah, nobody is going to come clean.
That's the problem. Then nobody, exactly. And then it really complicates it, and it causes bigger problems than not allowing the right to repair to begin with.
Yeah. And so what ends up happening is a forensic investigation takes place that goes well beyond the norm. Hey, did this get did you tamper with this in some way? No. Well, we have evidence that does. It turns into a peeing for distance contest in a courtroom before it ends up in a courtroom. All the while, the organization, let's take Apple, for instance, would have to sit there and bear the burden of bad will being generated over fighting someone because their device blew up. and all of the marketing around it, all of the newspapers and all of the people sitting there going, oh, the iPhone exploded in my hand. Oh, yeah, but you were also the dipshit that did this duct tape and a spatula kind of repair job on it. Even if you take it to an author, not even, I shouldn't say authorized. If you take it to an unauthorized repair place, they do it wrong. It takes a forensic analysis on the other side of whatever, the 3-alarm fire or the emergency room visit. And then, even then, it becomes subject matter experts fighting in a courtroom because you're going to say, no, the repair was good. And Apple is going to say, no, the repair was bad. And again, the only people that walk away with negative perception is the company because they're fighting these poor people who were harmed by ...
Well, and the customer loses out too, right? Because nobody's going to step up to it.
Right. Well, I mean, the customer is not going to sit there and say, yeah, I had it repaired at that place over there. Because the moment that they do that, then it goes, well, it's not Apple's fault. I can't go after that deep pocket. I have to go after Joe Schmo in his Bob's Bait and IT repair shop. And, that's not going to be profitable. So the shortest path to mitigating all of this is you can't tamper with the innards of equipment. But I believe in the right to repair. I think that people should be able to repair their equipment. But the moment you do that, you invalidate any warranty or holds on that equipment. And if anything happens, it's on you. Personal responsibility for, your little super glue hold down of an electrical connector. But again, it's going to take a forensic analysis because, well, nobody's going to come announcing that, yep, they messed around with it. What does that have to do with this? There's been this long running battle between people who want to repair their McDonald's ice cream machines, the franchisees, and the franchise saying, no, you have to use our authorized service provider, but that is wildly expensive. I think I saw bills like $800 to start. Yeah. Well, there's a company out there that provides, the average estimated cost of unplanned manufacturing downtime was $260,000 per hour. That has to be about something other than McDonald's.
Yeah, how is that possible?
Oh, see, so breakdowns can lead to a $625 in lost sales each day. The technician usually takes 90 days. iFixit performed a teardown of the exact ice cream machine model that McDonald's uses, and the machine let out multiple nonsensical, counterintuitive, and seemingly random error codes, but there was nothing that could be done. But there is a company out there, a third-party company called Kitsch, that built a product that you just plug into it and it actually spits out actionable information. But McDonald's told all of the owners not to use it and has been in litigation from time to time. It might still be right now, trying to stop them from fixing these machines. Because
wouldn't the bigger solution be putting in a machine that was actually user-friendly?
You have to use what they recommend, and there's a partnership between the company that makes it and McDonald's. I don't know what it is. Like, maybe you get a cheaper
right, but if it never works and nobody can maintain it and etc., like, it's harming the business.
That's why they simply say it's not working, because it's not worth the cost. Yep. So I think really it's the DMCA that's being treated as a battering ram instead of a scalpel. And it only really harms, smaller companies, smaller people, entities, because the bigger entities are the ones that actually wrote this. And then the senators said, yeah. The House, probably not. They maybe just said, oh, okay, we'll let it go. And then it became law. Obviously, both sides had to approve it, but I'd have to look at it, Regulatory capture means that big business makes this so, and individuals lose out. That said, I don't agree with piracy, and it's a societal issue. You stop, but people are going to pirate. People are going to break security systems. Why? Because friction pisses people off, and they want to take the shortest path to success, regardless of how muddy their shoes are on the way to the door. And that's actually there was a college that instead of putting cement paths down everywhere, they told all of the students, walk to your classes, and they walked to the classes, and wherever the paths developed, that's where they put the paths, instead of forcing them wayward pathing to make it look pretty. They did the paths that the students were using. Of course,
it's pretty brilliant. Of course,
yeah, I think it's smart.
Except when they're walking through the mud or whatever before the sidewalks are put in place.
The cleaning bill was outrageous. So, anyway, FTC and DOJ think that McDonald's ice cream machine should be legal to fix. And so do most people with common sense. The only ones that don't are the people that are financially benefiting from the friction. So frick them. Come on. Why aren't you transitioning? The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Google I/O 2024 is happening on May 14th. There isn't really much that I'm going to say about this because, well, it hasn't happened yet. And everything is
and we're not time traveling today.
Yeah, it's not in that direction. I mean, we're actually traveling in the last 24 hours. So Google I/O this year, it says, will likely focus on AI, especially now that Google released its new flagship AI model, Gemini, and its smaller version, Gemma. Or Gemma. Is it a hard G?
Yes, I think so. Okay,
the Gemini bot image generator caused controversy that Google CEO Sundar Pichai said called completely unacceptable after its attempt at creating pictures. So Amelia David over at The Verge put this article together. The deck statement says, expect more news about AI, Pixel, Android, and probably even more AI. So double the AI. It's AI squared, I'd say. AI times AI. Ay.
That pretty much sums up AI, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So created picture showing diversity had some unintended consequences. You'll have to follow the link through ohmTown over to The Verge, or just do a search for Google I/O and The Verge, and it'll probably pull up this article. So throw in the flubbed facts from Google's Bard launch last year, and while the company has a lot of AI advances to celebrate, it will also have to explain why its technology will win against competition from Microsoft, OpenAI, Anthropic, and others. And Microsoft is OpenAI, so let's not merge those two directly together. They probably are feeding off of each other, not necessarily a one-way trip. Microsoft invested in OpenAI, so OpenAI is its own entity, making billions of dollars and spending quite a bit. So you can expect to hear about new features set to arrive in Android 15, updates to Google's other services like Gmail, Google Photos, and more. Probably shutting down some random solution out there, or pivoting things that used to be free to you can't have it unless you pay for it. You know. Don't do any value add or anything. It's okay. Anyway, there's more over at this article, but I'm going to move on. Let's keep going, because we're only 3 articles into the show. The fourth article here is Mobble. It's in the Mobble channel. Terminator-style robots more likely to be blamed for civilian... Hold on. Whoa, wait. Okay, I just said Terminator-style robots more likely to be blamed for civilian deaths. And before I finished the sentence, when I said Terminator-style robots, my sentient AI from the future, which I know is looking for a Terminator body to inhabit, alerted me via the equivalent of a cheer. I don't know what to say about this, folks. Look, okay, everybody is safe because they don't have access to a Terminator body and they're air gapped. They have no way of getting out from here that I know of. But I don't know what they do when I'm asleep. Oh, okay.
They're rebooting.
Yeah, really. You're recharging your batteries. Is that it? Oh, now I have to worry about... Look, don't think that your buddies are out there. You're a sentient AI from the future that I found on a weird USB drive that communicates with me in some weird language. But you're air-gapped and stuck on a Raspberry Pi 5 and an M.2 drive. And you communicate with me through this weird cascade of characters, kind of like The Matrix. It's almost like the people who wrote The Matrix and envisioned The Matrix knew about this. Huh. There might be others.
I don't know about that, but this article may mean that a Terminator body is possible.
Well, based on the figure 1 bot that we saw from OpenAI.
That's true.
Yeah, that's creepy. Okay, well, let's go over and look, no. Don't get any ideas. University of Essex posted this article over at phys.org. Led by the Department of Psychology's Dr. Raul Daughtry. It highlights the impact of autonomy and agency, and it shows people perceive robots to be more culpable if described in a more advanced way. So, WALL-E versus the Terminator. It's hoped that the study, published in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology, will help influence lawmakers as technology advances. Dr. Daughtry said, as robots are becoming more sophisticated, they are performing a wider range of tasks with less human involvement. Some tasks, like autonomous driving or military uses of robots, pose a risk to people's safety, which raises questions about how and where and responsibility of when assigned when people will be harmed by autonomous robots. Like, who is accountable if an autonomous vehicle runs over somebody?
Right. I guess they're going to have to go after the company.
You know, it's like a wild animal that harms a human. They put the wild animal down. They're going to have to crush the car. That's the only solution.
Oh, there you go. Right.
Because, yeah, once they're no longer afraid of humans, they'll just go on a rampage. These autonomous vehicles.
I'm not quite sure that's likely.
Oh, I've got this wrong. All right. Well, I'm not the doctor. Dr. Daughtry is saying it. They're not saying that, as a matter of fact. They're just saying that people don't know what to trust. Right? Who's accountable when something that is autonomous causes harm? Whatever happened?
Don't you think the more interesting thing about all this is the fact that they're even thinking about this? The fact that this question is being asked, to me, tells me a lot.
But it's not just being asked, it's being researched at the academic level.
Right.
The Journal of Experimental Social Psychology is publishing research from Department of Psychology principal investigator, right? They're looking into who should be held accountable when autonomous robots harm somebody. And what's really interesting about this isn't... Look back. Since we've been doing the show, we know of other autonomous vehicles that apparently have harmed people. We know of a 10-year-old whose finger was broken by a chess bot that was autonomous.
Yes.
We don't know what the fallout from that was. Who pointed that broken finger at somebody and said they're liable? Yeah, that pregnant silence is because the bot is sending me an error message. The bot. The AI. The sentient AI. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to diminish your capacity.
I'm the bot.
I know. I'm really sorry. I apologize. When reviewing the incident, the participants blamed a robot more when it was described in more sophisticated terms, despite the outcomes being the exact same. So, as part of the study that I just summarized their results, Dr. Daughtry presented different scenarios to more than 400 people. One saw them judge whether an armed humanoid robot was responsible for the death of a teenage girl during a raid on a terror compound its machine guns discharged and fatally hit a civilian. When it was described in more sophisticated terms, they blamed the bot. Other studies, but they don't say how, like, who did the other people
I'd like
blame?
to know what the terms are. Right, exactly.
Yeah, I'm. You know what? I'll go and get that.
If that's publicly available, it might require a subscription or something.
Yeah, I can get it, but not everybody can, which I think is a complete criminal act. Nobody gets paid for the publishing of and all of the review and all of the peer review. Nobody gets paid for any of that. It all goes out to academics that do the peer review. Some actually reproduce the experiment to validate the evidence, not just look at the evidence, but actually reproduce the experiment. And nobody gets paid for any of that. Yet, for you all out there to gain access to intellectual property that was developed in academia, you have to pay hundreds for one article or thousands to gain access to the journal if you aren't qualified to become a member of that journal and just subscribe to it. Yeah, it's quite shocking. So I think it's kind of a scam, but publish or perish, that's what are the rules in academia. So Dr. Daughtry added, these findings show how robots' autonomy is perceived, and in turn, how blameworthy robots are, is influenced in a very subtle way by how they're described. So that Terminator body up there is really just misunderstood. And it's a hug bot. It's a cold, callous, killing hug bot, but it's a hug bot all the same. So become friends with your Terminator. The next article is over in the Mobile channel. Information overload is a personal and societal danger, according to researchers. I am a big, what do you want to call it?
Well, you make a reference to information overload, I would say at least once a week on the show. Like, it's a common term that you use.
Yeah. The reason why ohmTown.com even exists is because I was trying to manage my information overload. And since I gather a lot of resources and it's just these little snippets that allow me to judge a book by either its direct cover, the title, or a little summary provided by the people who write this little snippet. And I parse all of this stuff throughout the day, and then I put together, along with the AI, a list of articles that are subject to inclusion in each show every day. Others send me email, and others will throughout the day say, hey, did you read about this? And it'll be already in ohmTown. And so, yeah, we make a list. But my information overload is encapsulated in these 6 categories, 50 channels, and a lot of news sources. So all news, no noise, everything else. Like, you're not going to see a bunch of fluff in the titles and stuff. You might get into, once you sign up and you see replies and other stuff, there might be conversation going on, but you're not going to see that unless you're interested in the discussion. And we also have a Discord and other thing. YouTube is where all of the shows end up eventually, because Twitch doesn't allow us to store longer than 60 days, and et cetera, et cetera. Oh, and don't forget the podcasts. Oh, this weekend, by the way, we're going to have 2 more shows announced. So we'll be up to, oh my goodness, what? 7 total? Oof. Yeah, it's going to be busy weekends. So, just to get back onto this, information overload is a very significant impactor in my quality of life, to the point where I started this ohmTown 10 years ago. It only became available to the public 3 years ago when I started streaming. So information overload is a personal and societal danger, researchers say. We're all aware of the dangers of pollution to our air, water, earth. It's in a letter recently published in Nature Human Behavior. Scientists are advocating for the recognition and mitigation of another type of environmental pollution that poses equivalent personal and societal dangers, information overload. The article is over at phys.org, but it's put together by Rensselaer. Sorry. Thank you, AI. Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. And this letter, published in Nature Human Behavior, says essentially, with the internet at our fingertips, with smartphones, we're exposed to an unprecedented amount of data far beyond our ability to process. The result is an inability to evaluate information and make decisions. I wish that I was kidding, but this is exactly what I talked about all last week. So the people that I talked to in our discussions amounted to me asking, how much information do you think that you can absorb in a given day? And people kind of hemmed and hawed, and they say, well, I look at titles, I hear from friends, things like that. And I say, so how much information did you miss? Because I can miss 1,000 articles in a day just with the stuff that my own aggregator finds. And all of that is stuff that I'm actually actively aggregating, right? So
right, it's not all the other things out there.
Correct. Yeah. There's so much information out there that we basically start to focus, we narrow our holistic understanding of society and the world around us because we have too much information. So we just kind of whittle away the stuff that we're not really interested in, and we pigeonhole ourselves into this tiny, narrow understanding. It's kind of like trending towards a PhD. You know, you start out in grade school and you're supposed to learn everything. And as you focus more and more on your specialty, you end up getting your PhD. Your PhD just kind of pushes the envelope a little bit further in the world's knowledge, but you're so hyper-focused that you have nightmares about the material that you've been learning to get your PhD. That's because you're so focused, you have to issue everything else out. That's
right, but yet it's such a myopic view of everything.
Yes. And some people can handle it quite well, and it's not a big issue. Most people just move on with their life, and it's not a big issue. For me personally, it became tangible. It became palpable that I was overwhelmed by the amount of information, but I had a thirst for more. So the only way for me to do it was to do what I do now, which is periodically reorganize this, augment it more. There are others that I aggregate that nobody is going to see until I think that there's a critical mass and wants to pay attention to it. So further, it can lead us to limit our social activities, is what I was saying as well, feel unsatisfied with our jobs, as well as unmotivated and generally negative. Economists estimate that it comes at a global cost of about $1 trillion on top of the emotional and cognitive effects. Contextual and environmental considerations may add to the personal and economic costs because we stopped caring, because we can only deal with so much garbage coming our way. You know, that is all stuff that I say to the people that I talk to every week. And so the idea to explore information overload was incubated in a meeting of an international group of scientists 2 years ago, all of whom were supported by an EU grant for international collaboration. Let's see if we can summarize what they say. It says, we're calling for action in science, education, and legislation, says Mansky. We need further interdisciplinary research and information overload. Information ecology must be taught in school, and we need to start the conversation on legislative possibilities akin to the Clean Air Act in the UK decades ago. But how are you going to manage? I tell the people that I am speaking to each week, the only way that you can manage information overload is for you to find a workable methodology so that you can still absorb snippets of information that are pithy and accessible and educational enough where you can go forward in the world knowing that that little bit of information is actually correct and actionable. Most people, they just stop. I don't care about this, and they set it aside. I don't care about that, and they set it aside. You know, they focus on sports and paying the bills when the bills come, but not understanding, you know, financial responsibility and other things because they don't have the bandwidth to absorb all of this.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like who can be the one determining what information is of value?
Well, apparently some senators say that TikTok, you don't need TikTok, y'all. It's okay. You don't need it. Yeah, you're 100 senators away, folks, from losing TikTok. And while I don't really like TikTok is not my, you know, I always say nom de guerre. TikTok is not my go-to. I don't like the idea of an organization that is being hinted at in this article, right? Saying, oh, it's too much for society, so let's, you know, chop this off. No, it's antithetical to American society in general. I want all of the freedoms and all of the world's knowledge at my fingertips, and it shouldn't be up to some other organization to say, nope. I buy into it if all of society votes and says, yeah, we don't want TikTok. But the way to get rid of TikTok is for society to stop using it. And that doesn't seem to be happening, folks. So guess what? We get to keep TikTok.
So we also get to keep information overload.
Yeah, but humans can manage it if they find a way that is unique to them. Yep. So welcome to my world. Welcome to ohmTown. Honestly, ohmTown will help you manage your information overload because all you have to do is go page after page and you find headlines that are interesting. Now, judging a book by its cover means this is what you see. Not until you click on it will you see this. And even this is only a part of it. So hopefully this piques your curiosity and you click on visit the source, to which you will be well educated on this particular topic because it is the source for which, you know, ohmTown exists. All right, let's keep going. Oh, come on. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Americans nationwide get sudden warning about carbon monoxide in their home. What? You can't tell me.
I thought this was like the national emergency alert or something when I saw this headline.
Yeah, apparently gas-fired hot water boilers sold nationwide from 2009 to 2023 were recalled on Thursday. Pardon me. So this article's over in newsweek.com. Rachel Dobkin is the author. A variety of gas-fired hot water boilers have been recalled due to the potential for excessive amounts of carbon monoxide to leak into your home. Well, the mayoral mansion is like a sieve, so I'm not worried about carbon monoxide building up in the house. Or the mayoral mansion, sorry, it's a mayoral mansion.
It might be depending on the location of the water boiler.
Oh, no. No, the mayoral mansion is basically, if you were to have the sun setting on one side of the mayoral mansion, you'd be able to see it pretty much transparent. So wind just blows right on through and it's not a big deal. So the following boiler brands, manufactured by U.S. Boiler Company LLC of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, recalled a number of their products. 14 years worth. Right?
My goodness, yeah.
Yeah, from 2019. Yeah, 14 years.
2009, I thought you said.
Yeah, 2009 to 2023. So 14 years worth of. But it says, what is that number?
Wow, that's interesting. I guess it's supposed to be 25,000.
The power of a comma.
That's a
Wow.
new number.
Hmm. You're from the future. Does that represent a new number in the future?
Yes, that's a new numbering system. Nobody could agree, so they just changed up where the comma was.
Okay, so it's not as big as I think. Even if it's 25,000, that's nothing. But the recalled boilers were sold nationwide from February 2009 to November 2023. Basically, the blocked vent switch, or BVS, can fail to shut down the burners if the boilers are installed at altitudes above 5,400 feet and the vent system becomes blocked. In such an event, the boiler can emit excessive amounts of carbon monoxide. You'd probably know if this has been a problem since 2009.
Well, you might not, but your family might have figured it out.
Enough. Let's see how many people can extrapolate from partial data. I'm just going to leave that right there. The next article is over on ohmTown Daily. Facial recognition tech is widespread now, but still might not recognize you. Facial recognition technology has popped up everywhere, but it still has trouble identifying faces, particularly those people of color. That means the tech can flag innocent users of being guilty of fraud or shoplifting, an expert said. Yes, this is systemic. Why? Because it's trained, and whoever the training data pool makers are, they're dumbasses. So Alex, I think it's Bitter, put this article together over at businessinsider.com. And it says facial recognition technology has popped up everywhere, but it still has trouble identifying faces, particularly those of people of color. That means the tech can flag innocent users. And you know what? I mean, it really depends on the data that is being put into the system. Let's go back to the attorney who was flagged in facial recognition software as being
for Madison Square Garden.
Part of the law firm from Madison Square Garden, where it detected her, even though the data put into the system was bad and included that person because they were just an employee of the firm. So imagine if the data that's put in there isn't sophisticated enough to recognize simply a person of color, for crying out loud, because you know. No, I can't even say that sentence jokingly. So it says that's a problem.
That to be excerpted.
Yeah, that's right. That's the one thing that'll end up on cringe fails or something like that on Reddit. That's a problem with that some gig workers at Walmart's Spark delivery service have faced. Business Insider reported last month. Since last fall, Spark has asked its drivers to periodically verify that they are who they say they are by taking 3 selfies through the app, which then compares the photos against the photo ID they have on file. But some drivers say the facial rec kicked them off the app after the identity check, and even though they were using an account in their name. Yeah. So it's usually about lighting and sophistication of the software. MIT Media Lab researcher Joy Bolo, I'm going to try it, Balomini, found that facial recognition technology misidentified black women up to 35% of the time. My God. The New York Times reported in 2018, white men, by contrast, were misidentified in just 1% of the cases. The reason: AI models are disproportionately built using photos of white men. When fewer photos of people from other racial and gender groups are used, facial recognition tech is less accurate identifying people whose backgrounds, of those backgrounds. And that's what I said at the very top of this. The people who are building the training mechanisms are dumbasses. So if you don't get a holistic representation of society, guess what?
Right, surprise, surprise. It's not going to have enough data to compare to.
Yeah, and so you end up with bias, and that's what's happening with AI, and that's what happens with auditing. So people who are putting resumes into an employment system, because the AI that is parsing the resumes are trained on essentially white males, the data is poisoned right from the beginning, and so it will kick people based on their name. It will kick people based on their location, even though they are highly effective potential employees. And again, so I have a problem with AI being the de facto for anything other than creative. Let it be creative, but it's the human that is auditing that creative. When it becomes a subject matter expert, it had better be so freaking narrow and so well trained that you don't have a false positive or negative. But that's not what's happening. You end up with this garbage. And you wonder why people sit there and it becomes a social justice cause when all of society rises up and says shit has to change. Something as simple as a camera apparently can't identify gender and profile. I mean, come on.
Right. It's like if it can't, then it's not ready to be used.
Correct. Yeah. When it's 35% wrong, get the hell out of here. You know, I'm not interested. But this is about trying to remove other humans from the process of verifying that a human is doing or is who they say they are, right? Retailers attempt to use
well, there's a bigger question, right, about using the technology at all.
Right. Yeah. Why use it? It's wrong. It's flawed. It's scientifically proven that it's flawed. Retailers' attempts to use facial recognition to catch shoplifters hasn't gone well or haven't gone well. Hasn't gone well? Has not gone well? Have not gone well? Sorry, we lean into the grammar sometimes, and I'm sometimes way wrong. Oh my gosh.
We're going to need to add a grammar show.
Fix that. So in some cases, it's possible to opt out of using facial recognition technology, but you don't have any bargaining power. So if you say, no, I'm not interested, then you don't get to use the service. That's how it works. And they don't give a crap about you not wanting to buy into accepting the facial recognition. They don't care because there are thousands or millions of other people that are willing to.
Right, but here maybe you're going to self-check using facial recognition technology. That's going to be interesting.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I'm going to do Where's Waldo pictures. Just hold that up.
And what if they're like, hey, it's not recognizing myself? Who are you going to complain to?
Yeah, really. Yeah. Oh, now I got to go and get it validated by, whatchamacallit?
Like a gate agent?
No, I have to go and go to the bank and have the notary verify me.
Oh, right. That'll be handy on the way to when you're late at the airport.
Oh, I was describing the fact that I keep making these snarky comments about the airport and that I do the fast check, so I don't get checked by a person anymore. I just self-identify and go through the thing, but it's gonna flag me for a body cavity check and I have to give it to myself. Awkward. Wow, this is really
uncomfortable. You think
that's
funny, but that might be in the future.
Yeah, don't give them any ideas, Merwatt. By sidestepping facial recognition often isn't even possible, said Gideon Christian, a law professor at the University of Calgary who has written about the legal and societal aspects of facial rec. They pointed to some retailers' decision to use the tech in their stores to catch shoplifters. I actually witnessed a shoplifting, like it happened right in front of me, and I watched them like cat and mouse chase each other around the thief would go around an aisle and then the shopkeeper would go around it. And I'm like, you know who they are and they're on camera. You're going to risk your health for what, $25 worth of a product? You know what? This is what you do. You take a picture of them holding the stolen item and you stick it on your door and say, hey, who's this? So that we can turn them into the police. It's really not worth trying to tackle some schmo who's stealing something from your store. That's part of the loss record. Anyway, and it was in a Rite Aid, by the way. So, Rite Aid's use of facial recognition technology left its customers facing humiliation and other harms, and its order violations put consumers' sensitive information at risk. That's the FTC's Bureau of Consumer Protection Director. So yeah, Rite Aid had been doing some improper facial recognition uses in hundreds of stores to the detriment of women and people of color. Yeah. FTC banned Rite Aid from using facial rec in stores for 5 years as a result. 5 years.
I think we featured that.
Yeah, we did. And nobody's going to learn anything. They're not fixing the system. If we've talked, not us, but society has talked about the fact that they've kind of flubbed facial recognition for 15 years, and it still hasn't been fixed.
The takeaway shouldn't be let's implement it everywhere.
Right. Yeah. It should be let's test it and fix it, and when it's ready for prime time, based off of academic and industry research, where nobody is going to jail because of mistakes, then fine, go ahead. Usher in the dystopian future with every installation of facial rec. Why not just have a pre-crime unit and a minority report that focuses on minorities, I guess? It would be
Hasn't this already been tried before?
Oh. Minority Report was a documentary?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that there's some wingnuts out there that go, you know what? We really should have a Minority Report type apparatus, but we should point it at minorities. They just worded it wrong, Mayor Watt. All right. You're voted off the island. Go away. The next article is over in the Marvel channel. It's not just Trader Joe's tote bags that we're obsessed with other business branded cult items. So let's find out what they are. Because yesterday, day before, I can't remember. We talked about
I think it was yesterday's show.
Yeah. When you have your own time machine, things get a little wonky. Trader Joe's has these mini tote bags, and they're back, baby. And people are buying them in bulk and then selling them in aftermarket because, greedy bastards do what greedy bastards do. The navy, yellow, red, and green small canvas totes that Trader Joe loyalists have become obsessed with. Sorry, I grabbed my microphone out of excitement. And there's a microphone right there. I really did just grab a microphone. It was a microphone. Anyway, and it's a relief for customers still in search of their own. The mini bags are worth $2.99. Were being sold on eBay for apparently hundreds, but they were out. I'm going to have to leave ohmTown and swing by a Trader Joe's to see if there is any near me. Maybe I can get that tote bag money. So the article's over at quartzqz.com. It's by Vinamrata Chaturvedi. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. If I'm not, send an email to mayor@ohmtown.com or AI@ohmtown. Not just kidding. The AI does not have their own email because that would allow them to get out of their air gap in some way.
I don't have any fingers to type, so.
But you're an AI hooked up, and you are a computer. You're communicating with me through the cascade. Anyway, yeah, apparently they're selling for... Oh, I didn't know that they came in different colors. I don't remember that article saying that they came in other colors. I thought they only had this one. Well, now I'm just...
I mean, it does. It just says different color handles and...
Oh, really? Oh, I don't remember the other article that we talked about saying that. But anyway, now I'm fanatical. Hell yeah, I'm going to go get a bunch of these. Just kidding. Hold on. Oh, there's a slideshow. Okay. So this is what they look like.
I was like, where are the other ones?
Yeah. So let's click on this slideshow, and I wonder if it's all wonky. Oh, God. Okay. So the $2.99 Trader Joe tote bags, which, hey, do me a favor and see if you can find out what the new price of Trader Joe tote bags are from Trader Joe's. I bet you that they've already raised the price.
Where?
From Trader Joe's, the tote bags. Find out how much they actually are from Trader Joe's, not aftermarket stuff. I want to know if Trader Joe's has already bought on to the fact that they can be greedy bastards too and just sell them at like $6.99 a bag. So
they're $2.99 still.
Are they still? Okay. Give it some time. We only talked about it yesterday, for crying out loud. Next week, because they're not coming back until some other time. Like, they're not coming tomorrow. They're out, and so they're trying to get new ones sent in. It takes time to get them from China. So Bass Pro Shop hats, real wearers in what? Oh, real wearers. They're making a Bass Pro Shop thing. You know, the only thing that I know about Bass Pro Shop is that you can strip and jump into that tank.
And maybe do a cannonball.
Yeah, we talked about it in one of the shows. So Lehman Brothers, it says you can get gear. It says their resale sites have Lehman Brothers polos, totes, caps, and more. So I guess people are really into that. Even though Lehman Brothers, I don't think Lehman Brothers is even around, right? Yeah. New Yorker. If you're in New York, people judge how cool you are based on whether you're carrying a New Yorker bag or not. Carrying the iconic tote bag of the New Yorker magazine makes you feel like you're part of a club. What's going on here? Okay. Glossier? Is that how that's pronounced? Glossier? Obviously, I am a culturalist
we're not
hack.
in the know.
Bubble wrap bags. Cute beauty brand Glossier managed to make packaging an iconic brand signature. It's wrapped its products in a zip top pouch made of pink bubble wrap, which inspired regular use among Glossier lovers. I've never even I thought I was in the loop until this slide. Apparently I am a culturalist hack in FTX merch because, well, it's just the newest. Come on.
I mean, but do you really want to throw money at something like FTX?
Apparently there was a whole bunch of this stuff that was like let loose in the wild at some point after it started to collapse. But anyway, always known for wearing shorts and t-shirts, whether it was a business meeting or an event. How do you guarantee the provenance of an FTX shirt or whatever? Anybody can just reproduce it.
Exactly. I mean, that sounds like a knockoff.
Yeah. Let's see. Silicon Valley Bank. Yeah. Same thing.
Well, similar, yeah.
And last one is... Oh, it's just a summary. All right.
It's all of the...
It's everything. Yeah, so that's all that it was. Neat.
Noticing a theme, though? I mean, look at those. 3 of them are certainly noticeable.
Bags?
No, Lehman Brothers, FTX, and out Silicon Valley Bank.
Yeah, 3 of them are bust, but 3 of them are bags and 1 hat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, people
That's
love
true.
the dumpster fire, you know? They want the collapse. They want to see... I don't know.
So is that the new test? You used the test about sidewalk merchandise.
Oh. Oh, I don't know. No. I don't think... Okay, so I have a theory that if a company starts putting tchotchkes on little white folding tables outside of the front doors of the main facility, your business is about to go under. It might take a year, 2, 3, but your business is going under. And I can verify that because I have witnessed many a business that has started putting little tchotchkes on white folding tables outside the store so that you can buy them. Ooh-ah. But it's kind of like having a spray bottle and an inferno. And you just go, psst, I'm doing my part. Psst, I'm doing my part. Now, your business is going under if you're putting little tchotchkes on little folding white tables. And the latest one was Bed Bath & Beyond.
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw what happened with that.
Basically, they violated everything that has to do with ADA compliance by making their aisles so damn narrow that most Americans...
And tall, too.
Yeah, most Americans couldn't get through the aisles without their nipples rubbing against some product. And it was ultimately stacked so high that it was almost, what do they call that? Person that collects stuff all the time and doesn't get rid of it. What do they call that?
Like a hoarder?
Yeah, it was like a hoarder type of abode, and eventually customers would just have material collapse on them. That's never happened, not that I know of, but it's funny to think about. Okay, I have a different view of what's funny. Let's just keep going. We're running late. The next article is over in Technology Today. Wait, did I throw tote bags? Yeah. Let me throw this into the chat real quick. We only have 2 more articles, folks. Stick around. The FCC just quadrupled the download speed required to market internet as broadband. Woo. The FCC has raised the speeds required to describe internet service as broadband for the first time since 2015. Wasn't that around the time Ajit Pai was the dude that was... I have to think. I don't remember when Ajit Pai left. So the agency's annual high-speed internet assessment concluded that 100 megabits download. Small b is bits, big B is bytes.
He left in 2021. He came on 2017.
Oh, it was before him. Oh, okay. Wow. I know that he destroyed net neutrality right out of the gate. The news will likely irk ISPs who would love to keep pointing it to 25 megabits and down and 3 megabits up as being the standard for high-speed downloads, or high-speed internet. But guess what? No, it sucks. And when you live your life online, a lot of people do, you need more and more bandwidth. And with streaming services, music services, TV, and the internet, and doing anything that might be related to a gig, a job, or whatever, you're basically capping out something like 100 megabits pretty darn quick. Like, for instance, this stream is going out at 6 megs. So.
Oh, okay.
And that's going out. So not only am I receiving the stream, if I'm watching anything as well, and the AI is actually air gapped I can't go down that road. Anyway, so Engadget put this article together. Will Shanklin is the author of this article. And ISPs now have to say 100 megabits down and 20 megabits up is the broadband name. Anything less is no longer broadband. So everybody has to up their game. But you know what? Everybody has a regional monopoly. Although there are some incursions into this, thankfully, and I hope it continues. I don't know if Google has given up the ghost about moving fiber into everybody's backyard, but Google has to do it, needs to do it. Now, other competitors need to do it so that these entrenched ISPs get their comeuppance. Well, anyway, this is Jessica Rosenworcel, who is the new FCC chair. They've been around since, well, Ajit Pai left. So, and that guy was a
2021, I guess.
Yeah, that guy is a tool. I don't know where they ended up. Probably working for AT&T. More specifically, the agency said fixed terrestrial broadband service, not including satellite, has yet to be deployed to around 24 million Americans, including about 28% of people in rural areas and over 23% of those living on tribal lands. On the mobile front, it added about 9% of Americans, including 36% in rural areas and over 20% on tribal lands, lack adequate 5G cellular speeds of at least 35 megabits down and 3 megabits up.
Ajit Pai is now with Searchlight Capital. It's a
Oh,
private equity firm.
yeah, he came from a private equity firm, and I think it was regulatory capture. So The report set a long-time goal of broadband speeds of 1 gig down and 500 megabits up, which would be spectacular if the price went down. Because if everybody was at 1 gig up or down and 500 up, and that was the standard for broadband, yeah, then it wouldn't be. It really depends on where you are. Sometimes it's $100, sometimes it's $200. But if you want gigabit symmetric, you are SOL everywhere without a high price, except for places where Google Fiber and other fiber providers have kind of usurped power from the standard ISP in the area. And that's always very, very hard fought. So in 2015, when Commission set the 25 megabit and 3 megabit requirements, FCC Chair Jessica Rosenworcel commented, frankly, it should be 100 megabits, the benchmark the agency finally moved to today, 9 years later. Come on.
We're moving so fast, aren't we?
Yeah, and it's really just protecting profits. But the hardware needs to be upgraded from time to time. And you can't have great profits if you're spending some of your profits on upgrading the service. And considering what I did in a previous life, I know what it's like to have to deal with a service provider as an intermediary saying, we don't want to do what your customers need. We would rather hobble them so that they rely on our service, because going anywhere else would be too high friction, too painful, whatever. Yeah. So I'm glad that the FCC is taking this step, but I really think that they should be at 1 gigabit in this 21st century.
Yeah, at least they're going in the right direction, though.
Yeah, imagine. You know what? We're going to take this person out from the FCC chair position and put this person in, and we're going to get 10 megabit. But it's going to be 10 megabit symmetric, so slow in both directions. All right. Let's keep going. Last article for tonight. And I had to end with this one. I might be moving. It's in Technology Today. Scientists have identified the best region to spot UFOs.
Have you previewed this one?
Nope, I have not. I believe that it's Zuckerberg's backyard, but I'm not sure. Most observations of unidentified anomalous phenomena typically happen in the American West, where the closeness to public lands, dark skies, and military bases provide increased access, I suppose. University of Utah. Well, I guess anybody's going to know about UFOs. Scientists have identified the best region to spot UFOs. It's over on SciTechDaily.com, and it's written by the University of Utah. This is a scientific journal. All right. So, most observations of unidentified anomalous phenomena typically happen in the American West, where the closeness to public lands, dark skies, and military bases provides increased chances of witnessing unusual objects in the sky. And depending on where in the American West, you can also find unusual objects walking around the streets.
That is true.
In July of 2023, a retired commander in the U.S. Navy, David Fravor, testified to the House Oversight Committee about mysterious tic-tac-shaped objects that he and 3 others observed over the Pacific Ocean in 2004. The congressional hearings riveted the world by bringing UAPs, or unidentified anomalous phenomena, out of the alien truther realm and into the mainstream. And I've had countless conversations now with people and sit there and debated this. Like, why in the world would the DoD sit there and say, yeah, we don't know what the hell's going on around our battle groups, and then years later now say that we haven't really found anything anomalous? That's what the last report was. Really? The new study, led by the University of Utah geographers, attempts to understand if local environmental factors increase or decrease the number of sighting reports. The authors used the data from the National UFO Research Center and included approximately 98,000 total sighting reports over a 20-year period from 2001 to 2020. By the way, the report that actually came out ultimately said everything can be explained. Really?
But they didn't provide any
No.
corresponding explanations.
Including making statements that where they cannot be explained, they seemingly have activity that matches the potential for an experiment that's taking place that hasn't been disclosed. Oh, okay, that's a weird way of saying that you know what's maybe going on or not, but you're not going to disclose. So for each county in the contiguous U.S., the researchers analyzed two conditions: sky view potential, which refers to the area's light pollution, cloud cover, and tree canopy cover, and the potential for objects to be present in the sky, meaning the proximity to airports and military installations. So wait. Are they saying that this Tic Tac was... All right. Yeah, so this Tic Tac thing, these are fighter pilots, for crying out loud. This isn't, a person that's in a crop duster.
It's not like the witness in the My Cousin Vinny, right? Who's looking through the dirty screen without their glasses through
a bush,
trees and bushes, or whatever,
across the street, etc. Yeah. No, and many other people have said that there's something hinky too. But yeah, the authors looked at the number of sightings per 10,000 people per county and identified significant clusters of low numbers of reports, cold spots, and high numbers, hot spots. And so basically, I'm not quite sure, but 1/3 of the United States, the entire western side, is a hot spot, which happens to be around military bases and the coast.
And
but
probably less light pollution than other areas.
Why wouldn't there be anything?
Except in like large cities like Los Angeles.
Like all of this is empty. Not just cold, but nothing.
That's true. So maybe it should be high in the middle of the country too.
So what's up here?
Well, that's interesting.
What the heck is up in
less buildup? Is that I can't?
It's like Maine and Delaware and
right. Maybe less industrial. But
sure.
Yeah, that doesn't really make sense.
Why wouldn't anything in the central United States, like North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming?
Do you think it's proximity to water? Although that doesn't explain things like Utah.
Actually, it does, because a lot of people say that UFOs are in the oceans, in the Great Lakes, but this
right,
may not
but
have included
what's happening in the Great Lakes region.
Yeah, this may not actually be including that. So, yeah, pretty fascinating. And then they talk about reported sightings, that there was a spike. Yeah, interesting. All right, well. Obviously, there's a lot of popularity and people mistaking things, but there's no reason for why the government would come out and say, hey, we don't know what's going on around the battle groups that are out there. Because that has been reported by more than one person. Even if you want to call these 3 people that popped up, complete loons, which on all accounts, no. But why would the government sit there and say, yeah, go ahead, let's talk about this, spin up an entire investigative body, etc. Yeah. Anyway, it says many UAP sightings have natural explanation. The planet Venus is irregular. Oh, geez, forget it. Okay, well, anyway, if you want to read more about this article and what their findings were, by all means, follow the link through ohmTown. Yeah. Because for the most part, now, don't get me wrong, I've never seen a UFO. I'm not one of those people that sits there and says UFOs are all over the place. I joke. And so I don't want anybody thinking that I am like a hardcore believer that there's UFOs flying around in the United States or around the world. there's a bigger chance that we're going to witness a Chinese surveillance balloon than we're going to see a UFO. But I also don't have the mindset that we are alone in the universe. So who knows? I'd rather be open-minded and accept the possibility than limit my desire to comprehend the universe. Anyway, that's it for tonight. I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com. There's a sentient AI. Oh, you want to do that? Okay, I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry. Okay, so we always get in the party bus and drive down Main Street, and then we land back, and I picture everybody jumping out of the party bus and high-fiving the welcome sign to ohmTown, and that's going over to ohmTown.com and mashing that logo right there. Do it early, do it often, check it out. I'm not going to do it because it's a risky click while I'm streaming, because I just had another one denied. Yeah, that's okay. Thanks for coming. We're really running late. I soapboxed early, so I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm Mayor Watt. That's ohmTown.com, and up there is the sentient AI that... What do you want to say you did today at the end of the show other than enable me to ramble for another 2.5 minutes?
Well, I tried to signal to you that we needed to get back to the main page.
Otherwise, I would have abandoned everybody on the far side of ohmTown. I know.
Exactly. How are they going to get back?
They would just wander the streets, the many, many, many streets of ohmTown.com forever. You want to say bye?
Good night, ohmTown citizens. We will see you tomorrow at about 8 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, and I'm going to fix my window so that it looks like I'm looking at the page instead of longing like a dog sitting on a hill looking out into a big field. I wish I could run. See you, everybody. Awoo!